Center.
I actually think it's kind of sad that a perfectly legal activity could draw so much attention.
I hate Barack Obama. You say, well, you just mean you don't like what he stands for. No, I hate the person.
We now know the night before Chris listened to a speech by Pastor Steven Anderson titled, "Why I Hate Barack Obama."
That had no influence whatsoever.
In the sermon, Anderson admitted he praised for the president's death, a position he reiterated Sunday afternoon.
I don't want him to be a martyr. We don't need another holiday. I'd like to see him die like Ted Kennedy of brain cancer.
A sentiment not everyone agrees with, and some on Sunday chose to speak out against.
A man cloth wants to kill our president. How sick can you get?
But several Faithful Word parishioners defended their pastor's opinion of the president, including Chris.
I concur. I think our country would be a lot better off if God were to send this man where he's going now instead of later.
You're not advocating violence against the president.
I'm not going to answer that question directly. I don't care how God does it. I just pray that he does. And I'm not really going to go any further into it than that. I hope it'd be better now than later.
I hate him.
A position he apparently shares with his pastor.
Man, Team Sanchez has been all over this story and has reached out to the Secret Service. Rick, it's still really uncomfortable to actually listen to that. It's quite bizarre, actually. What's the Secret Service saying?
It's as chilling as the interview you were doing with Jake moments ago. I mean, it's one of those interviews that when you watch it, you know, I was watching the interview you were doing with Jake, and look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. As a dad, you know, you've met my kids. I've got 3 boys. I hate that man. I hate everybody like him, and I hate everything that they stand for. People who molest children. It's very difficult. And yet, as I was listening to the conversation, by the way, I know I'm going off on you here, but I was just so struck by that. As I was listening to the conversation, I was also appreciative of the information that he was giving me as a parent that I might be able to use to protect my kids. So, you know, kudos to you, Kira. That was fascinating stuff.
Well, he's been an interesting person to follow. I've been interviewing him for 8 years and keeping track of him as well. And, you know, I know it's hard to watch and it's hard to stomach and knowing what he did to children. But at the same time, boy, does he have a message to give. And as a parent...
Oh, no, look, I get it. And, I admit I'm being hasty and I'm being judgmental. And I ask people to forgive me for saying what I just said. But...
where else can you get into the mind of a sex offender than from a sex offender himself?
I'm a dad.
I know.
I gotta watch out for my kids. Look, this thing going on.
Tell me about your story.
This thing going on in Arizona is really crazy. We've gotten an inordinate amount of response from people on this, from the email, from Twitter, and we've seen a lot of blogs posted, and we're really tussling with it ourselves. There's a lot of issues here. First of all, for a pastor to say something like that, I mean, he's suggesting flat out that he'd like to see the President of the United States dead, that he wants to see Sasha and Malia fatherless, that he wants to see Michelle as a widow. Now he's going on and saying that what you just played moments ago about Ted Kennedy and the brain cancer. I mean, is this over the pale? How many other people are like that? And when we're talking to Secret Service, what we want to know, and you're going to see some of these answers during our show, have they contacted him? Have they paid him a visit? How much of a threat do they consider him? And what else is he saying now? So we're all over that part of the story, Kira, again, and we're going to bring it to you at 3 o'clock.
All right, you're watching me, I'm watching you. I'm very interested. And we're going to read a lot more of your emails, too, of what you sent in about what you think about our interview with that convicted sex offender. Stay with us. Well, earlier I put your questions about sexual predators and how to protect society to convicted child molester Jake Goldenflame, but we also got plenty of comments. Here's some of them. One viewer tweets, and I quote, "There's no such thing as a reformed sex offender. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Last place I'd want to learn from." We also heard this, "I tell my kids not all monsters glow in the dark. I wish his type did." And finally, parolees are serving their sentence in the community. In prison, their cell is searched top to bottom. Same should happen at their homes. Thanks so much for responding. Sure appreciate it. We'll be back here tomorrow. Rick Sanchez picks it up from here.
All right, good stuff, Kira. Thanks a lot. Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. This is the Next Generation in News. We like to call this a conversation, not a speech. And as usual, it's your turn to get involved. We're going to be talking about what's going on with this pastor out in Arizona.